I'm just hoping that this will be a very helpful training for you this afternoon, a little lunch and learn. I think I should probably do these a little more often. So thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I hope that your midweek is going well. Hey, Raven. Hey, Jessuan. Just so happy to have you all. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here. Alrighty. And we're going to go ahead and dive on in so that you can enjoy your lunch hour with me. Sorry about the little technical difficulty that I had. Alrighty, so I'm going to share my screen here. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys can see that here. Awesome. And I think I am recording. So let's start recording. Yay! This is just something that I thought of because essentially, marriage is so valuable, but definitely we are living in a culture that is almost countercultural to do the very things that will promote a healthy marriage. And so I just wanted to share this with you all today because the research is extremely clear on what it really takes to have a successful lifelong marriage. And I put this in like the regular meeting mode on purpose. Sometimes webinars, you're unable to like actually have your voice heard or even show your face, but I wanted this to be more of a conversation. So if at any time you have a question, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat, or if you feel comfortable enough, you're more than welcome to unmute your microphone, show me your face, and we can have a beautiful conversation, okay? So just wanting to kind of put that out there so that, just knowing that this is not like a normal stiff little thing. This is more so a conversation that we are having, because I'm hoping that you leave here today with some nuggets that you can use today. And I say 10 years from now, but when we institute these things, then you can have this can outpour into your relationship right now. But, honestly, a healthy, happy marriage is going to become even rarer, I think, as the time goes on. And it's going to become more of a commodity. And not only is it going to become more of a commodity, but it's going to be so, children who grow up in this infrastructure and grow up in this context and in this environment are going to have just leaps and bounds, advantages when we're thinking about it as well. So not just from the perspective of our own happiness, but what does this even mean for our children, for our legacy, and for that next generation? Because if you leave here today, I want you to realize that this thing is bigger than you. And even though I said happiness, it's even bigger than your own happiness. So essentially, honestly, I guess I'm giving it away a little bit, but I say happiness, but I honestly want to lay it want you to be thinking about, honestly, happiness is not ultimately the goal. It's honestly a byproduct, okay? And so if you institute these things, and if these things become your ultimate goal, then happiness will become a byproduct. But essentially also too, if we make it the ultimate goal, sometimes it's going to be honestly evasive. It's going to be kind of hard to get to. So I'm going to talk about that today. So I just want to let you know that you are definitely in the right place if you recognize that your marriage is valuable. Okay, you recognize that your marriage is valuable, and not only is it of value to you, but you want to steward it well. You recognize that this is a gift from God. You recognize that you want to be a good steward over this gift. And one reason why I say 10 years from now is the fact that we mature in by 10 years, okay? I was thinking about what I heard one time from Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he said, people mature in 10 years, okay? So who you are today is very different from who you were 10 years ago. And let's just think about it developmentally. I'm also a psychology professor, and I teach a human growth and development class from conception until death. So the whole human story, right? And so when we think about it, Who you were at 0 is very different from who you were at 10. Totally different capabilities, so much growth, so much development has happened in that time. And it's growth. There was no atrophy during that time. It was just going forward. You were moving forward developmentally. Who you were at 20 is very different than who you were at 10. And so one reason why I put it in this decade is because we mature in decades. And I'm hoping that the things that you are leaving with today will help you to grow in maturity and grow and help your marriage to thrive in the next 10 years. Because I'm telling you, having a healthy, happy marriage is going to be a commodity in the future. All right. But there are some things that you can do today to ensure that you are setting up your life and your legacy for success in the years to come. Okay, is that good? If that's good for you, put good in the chat. If that is good for you, put good in the chat. All righty, so I'm just setting the intentions, letting you know that you are in the right place today. And if you have joined in, oh, good, Tally, awesome. So I just want to let you know that you are in the right place on this afternoon. Also, too, if you want your marriage to grow and thrive over the years, you understand that it's not just a pot that I put in a corner and I don't water it. You understand that your marriage wants to eat. You understand that your marriage wants to be fed. You understand that there's something that you have to do to make it go in the right direction, because your marriage is a car. But we want to put our hands on the steering wheel. This is not an automatic car. Like, we literally have to guide it in the right direction. And it's a very powerful vehicle. And if we don't manage it well, there can be an accident. Oh my gosh. I got so much to tell you guys. I got so much to tell you guys on today, and I'm excited. Also, too, you recognize that this is a gift from God, and you want to use your marriage to honor him and to set an honorable example for your kids. Now, here's the thing, or for your community. Now, here's the thing. We need Jesus every day to do this thing, okay? So I want you to be encouraged. We're not looking for perfection in our own will. The reality about marriage is that you cannot do this in your own power. All right, you need the Holy Spirit. You need his guidance. You need his fruit of the Spirit, because I don't care how nice you are, marriage can push your buttons, okay? And so because it's just the nature of living in close fellowship and proximity with another person. But I tell you, the research is very clear on what it takes to maintain lifelong love. But I'm going to give you a few of those things on today. All righty. But before we go in, where are you guys from? Where are you guys from? Are you here in Atlanta? Where are you guys from? I want to know a little bit about who I got in the room on today. Where are you guys from? And sorry about the technical difficulty earlier. It probably said I was in another room, Zoom room. Okay, New York, Tally, nice to have you. Lydia, you're right here in Atlanta. Awesome. So happy to have you here on today. Awesome. So wonderful. Great. Okay, so just a little bit of background about me. For me, this is personal, okay? I'm not just somebody who's like, oh, relationships sound like a good thing to focus on. So I've been in this field now, child and family development for close to like 17 years, okay? This is something that I feel like I've been called to, and not only am I concerned about the own success of my own marriage, but I am genuinely concerned. I want you to win at marriage, because I know what that is going to mean for you, for your bloodline, for your children, for your community, for your home. I understand that. I understand it on a research level, on a practical level, on a spiritual level. It makes a difference and it matters. So just a little bit of background about me. I'm a psychology professor here in Georgia. I'm also a marriage and family therapist. I'm a researcher. I research families. I also work at the African American Child and Family Research Center. I look at fatherhood and father involvement and family dynamics. But everything I'm sharing today, this is all on the side, okay? It's not representative of, of the center. I had to put that out there. I'm also a certified family life educator. But ultimately, I'm a wife, I'm a believer, and I'm a mama. And this matters to me. And I'm just happy that you're here on this afternoon and investing this time. It takes a special type of person to come and show up live, and make this investment with respect to just your time when it comes to pouring into your marriage. Okay. So, well, I'm going to lay the context today. All right. Because achieving a healthy marriage, or it has changed. It's no longer your grandmother's situation. It's no longer even your parents' situation. It's no longer what it took even 100 years ago, or even 10 years ago. The landscape for marriage is changing, and what it takes to have a healthy marriage today, family, is another notch. Okay, it's another notch. It's another notch. And not only is it another notch higher, but there is a cultural current that is coming against your upward mobility toward achieving marital success. So being exposed to knowledge and information like this is going to give you a little kick. It's going to give you a little bit momentum and help you to fight this current, because the current is strong, family. I ain't got to tell you. All you got to do is open your phone, all of this messaging, even seeing all of these divorces, even if you're not connected to these people, it impacts you on a subconscious level. And the reality is that most of our decisions are made on a subconscious level. All right. So I'm going to talk about this changing landscape. Also, too, now, and then we're going to go into the meat and the potatoes, okay? Looking at those 5 secrets to being happily married now and within 10 years. So that as your marriage, because here's the thing, I promise you, your marriage 10 years from now is going to be different. Because just by the very nature of the fact that you're going to be different, you're going to be older. But here's the thing. Sometimes we think that years always work for us. That's not the reality. You have to work the years in the right direction to get to where you want to go. It's not just time. Because honestly, even with forgiveness, it's not just time. Because if we just let time go by, and we're not tending to it, we're not being good stewards over it, we will see atrophy. We will see a digression. But we want to be intentional and see a progression. And I tell you, family, in 10, 20 years from now, people are going to start to recognize that they were putting their ladder up against the wrong wall. The wall is not just about your business success. It's not just about your career success. It's not even just about how beautiful your body looks. Granted, we want to be a good steward over that. But at the end of the day, research is very clear that it's the close social relationships that bring happiness and health across the lifespan. That comes from some longitudinal research that Harvard is doing, that they've been doing for over 75 years. They have the numbers, but beyond the numbers, God is a relational God. And He, out of all of the relationships that He could have compared our relationship with Christ, He uses a marriage. That shows you, it just shows you how important this thing is. And so I'm getting beyond myself. I get a little excited. But anywho, so these are the 5 things that we're going to dive into on this afternoon. 1, we got to see it before we experience it. All right. And see, oh my goodness. And then we're going to talk about having a healthy diet to nurture your positive growth. Okay. So we're going to talk about, and I'm not just talking about what you eat. Now, honestly, I'm not even talking about what you eat, but we're going to talk about having a healthy diet to nurture that growth in the right direction. So that to ensure that we're driving and we're steering this marriage, this powerful car. Vehicles are powerful, but vehicles are dangerous too if we don't know how to maneuver them. If we just sleep. And I tell you, people are sleeping on their marriages. Oh my gosh, we can't afford that. Thirdly, we're going to talk about first things first. All righty, we're going to talk about first things first, having a God-centered marriage. All right, we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to also talk about the 3 P's to achieving, this health along the way, to make sure that we're growing in the right way. That takes practice, it takes positivity, and it takes prioritizing. All right. So, all righty. So let's see here. So let me go forward. Okay, so laying the context. An unhealthy marriage today, family, is more costly than it has ever been in history. And this is what the research is showing, is that because people's relationships have become more central with respect to being an indicator of their overall happiness. Ask Dr. Eli Finkel, who does a lot of research on marriage. And what he has found in his research, he has a TED Talk on this. If you want to take a closer look at it, it's called The Marriage Hack, if you want to do some more research on your own. But what he has found is that if we really want to ask people how they're doing globally in their happiness, just ask them how are they doing in their marriage. And that's one of the best indicators of their overall global happiness. So we as a culture are putting more weight into this thing than we have ever before. And with this changing landscape, I'm giving you a little bit of psychology. I don't know if any of you guys have this background, but Dr. Maslow, this is just a little bit of background. So it's just saying that we have lower level basic needs that have to be met, right? Self-actualization needs, what we see is that those basic needs need to be met. And so when we're thinking about that in respect to marriage, no longer are we just hoping that I can secure a home with this person. No longer are we just, people, honestly, historically, people got married for just pragmatic reasons: food, shelter, legacy, kids to till the lands. It was honestly not even for love historically. However, we moved to a more companionate, love-based model in about like the late 1800s, 1950s. People got married for love. But today, people not only want love and a deep companionship, but they want a partnership that's going to help them become the best essence of themselves, the best expression of themselves. They want this partnership to help them with personal growth. They want this partnership to help them become, best in their field. And then they want to be great partners with one another and this, that, and the other. And so now the stakes are higher. Okay. And so that is the context in which we are dealing with now. Okay. And so what we see is that the happiest marriages of today are happier than previous marriages. However, average marriages today are more unhappy than average marriages were even just a few decades ago. And it's going to continue to make this trend, family. And so with that being the case, I just want you to recognize that this thing is of weight. Investing in your marriage, investing in into building these skills. And he talks about it with respect to it being a suffocation model of marriage, such that people have these higher expectations. However, when you're climbing a mountain, the air gets thinner, and their expectations are so heavy that they're suffocated by them because they don't know what it takes to climb the mountain. And in this place, to get to those higher pinnacles of the mountain, you need to have oxygen because the air is thinner up there. It's a different environment. It takes something else to climb the summits. And in this case, it takes a healthy relationship skill set as well as time, time. And a lot of times people get in their marriages and they think that, they have a soulmate idea that, we're just a perfect match, so this should just work out. It should be easy. It should be seamless. But they don't recognize, no, when you get married, you've decided to climb a mountain with your partner. and which is going to require time, which is going to require developing your skill sets with respect to conflict resolution, all of these things, forgiveness, kindness. You got to work those muscles to climb that mountain. And we can't close our eyes and put it on cruise control, because then we're liable for an accident. And so, okay. So you got me. So it takes now. So I'm not gonna be able to really go into this, but because I got so much to share, and I want to honor your time. So essentially, it takes knowledge and a skill set to climb the mountain of marital success. All right, it takes knowledge and it takes a skill set. All right. So I'm glad you're enjoying it, Love Education Brown. I love some education too. So it takes knowledge as well as a skill set to climb this mountain. And that's so you're here, you're gathering it. We gotta forever be a student of what it takes, and then also a student of our partner, of our spouse. All right. So okay, you guys ready to dive on in? Are you ready to dive on in to the main content? I laid the context. Are you ready to dive on in? If you're ready to dive on in, put dive in the chat. If you're ready, because I don't want to dive, I don't want to go deep diving if I'm going fishing by myself. I don't want to go by myself, family. So if you're ready, put dive in the chat, family. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. If you're ready, all right. All righty, so let's go ahead and get to that first secret, all right? So the very first secret is using the power of your vision. So first, you must, like, a lot of times they're just thinking about the here and the now. To solidify your vision is to write it down. But you must envision yourself succeeding in your marriage, having a healthy marriage, having a happy marriage. So what is that long-term aspirational goal that you have for your marriage? And then what are going to be the laws or the standards or the parameters that you're going to live by to actualize this vision? Okay? And I'm want to leave you guys with practical things that you can do. So next time you get a chance to sit down with your spouse, ask them, okay, this is my planner. What would an ideal week look like for us? I mean, everything between work, between the kids, between dinners at home, between date night, between praying together as a family. If you want to have a joint devotional, like ultimately, what would that week look like? What would a month look like? And then what would a year ideally look like? How many couple trips do we want to take? How many books do we want to read together? Like, what do we want this thing to look like? Okay. And see the power of this and writing it down, it increases your likelihood of achieving it, I believe, by 42, it's either 32 or 42%. When you write your goals down, automatically it increases your likelihood of achieving it. And so, and so that's on the research side, but also too, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. And I want to just do a little, here talking about how could this apply to your marriage. So where there is no vision for a marriage, the marriage can perish. If we have no positive vision and we're just see, here's the thing, you are actually planning your life, whether you're doing it haphazardly or not, whether you're intentional about it or not. You are driving your car. Whether you got your eyes closed and you think cruise control and you think somebody else is supposed to take care of it, you are actively guiding your marriage in a particular direction. All right. And so, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. And so even for your marriage, when you have a vision, that already narrows your options of what you can and cannot do to achieve the vision. So that means that there has to be some exceptions. That means that you've already narrowed your gate. That means that you've already narrowed and said, okay, to achieve this vision, there are some things that I have to go without because I got a greater goal in mind. And so now I have some standards and I have some parameters that I got to live by, because if I want to have a happy, healthy marriage, there are going to be some things that don't align with it. So now I'm straightening up my life. I'm straightening up my ways, and I'm making my way narrow, and I'm keeping some standards. I'm keeping some godly principles. And that's, see, you got to do that before the byproduct of happiness comes. But a lot of times when people get married, they're just like, I'm in it for me. I want to be happy. And it's, we've been socialized this way. Even if we know God, we've been socialized this way. But really, it's in leading this narrow life. It's in upholding these standards. It's in living a disciplined life. And I was reading in Numbers where it was talking about we have to practice self-denial when they were talking to the Israelites. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so relevant for marriage. We have to practice denying ourselves to get the result of the happy byproduct. Right? Even if we're just thinking about it with respect to your physical body, family. With respect to your physical body, every day you may not want to deny yourself that cookie. You may not want to deny yourself those favorite foods that you like. You may not want to deny yourself that extra piece of sleep. You may not want to deny yourself, but if you discipline yourself, if you keep these laws of what's going to have a healthy body, you're going to be happy with the byproduct. And the same is true for your marriage. So so I wanted to be practical. I want you to leave with something, family. How old will you be in 10 years? Think about it. I want you to write it down. I hope you got sheet paper. Think about it. 10 years from now, how old will you be? By God's grace, if he allows, if he hasn't come back, because it looks like he is coming back in any second. But in God's grace, if we are graced to be here, how old will you be in 10 years? Time is not going backwards. It is only going forward. And the future of your marriage is in your mouth. So when you write the vision, you make it plain, you got to speak it. And any thoughts, any words that don't speak life to that vision, you got to narrow it and not live by that law. You got to narrow and even self-discipline your words to speak life to the vision. Even when you don't see it, even when you don't believe it, still confess it. And allow your feelings to catch up with you. All right? I'm hoping this is helpful today. So, what do you want your marriage to feel like? Okay, 10 years from now. 10 years from now, oh my goodness, 10 years from now, how old are you going to be? What do you want it to feel like when you come home? That's culture. How old will your kids be 10 years from now if you got kids? What culture do you want to establish now? Now, the last step, the last secret is going to help you intentionally create this culture that you are envisioning right now. So I want you to come up with some long-term aspirational goals for what do I want my marriage to feel like? What do I want it to accomplish? I'm going to be this old. My kids are going to be this old. What do I want it to feel like when I come home? What do I want us to accomplish and be fruitful in the earth? 10 years, I need to mature by that time. I need to be different. My marriage needs to be different. And it needs to be driving along in the right direction that God already preordained. That means I can't make stops everywhere. That means I can't put any kind of fuel in it. That means I got to narrow. That means there are some standards. There's some ways that I got to upkeep this thing. All right? Okay, that's secret number one. Secret number one. So now we are shifting gears. Secret number two. Remember I was talking about a healthy diet? So let me just put this out here. So I wasn't talking about food, but food is important too because how you eat does influence your mood. So we all know we want to have a healthy, good diet, right? We all know that we want to have a healthy, good diet. All right. So, all right, praise the Lord. So we all want to have a healthy, good diet, but we also have to be mindful of what we are allowing into our gates, because our gates are, if it's things on repeat, then it's shifting our belief system. And so I was telling you all that I teach a human growth and development class. And so we talk about what's going on with respect to cognitive development, how our thinking grows from conception into death. We talk about physical development, how people literally physically are growing, in each developmental time frame. We talk about social emotional development, how people grow in their capacity to engage with peers and in relationships. So we talk about hopefully a lot of the whole gamut, essentially. But we also, in this class, at every developmental time frame, we talk about the leading causes of death. All right. So I want you to think about this in the context of the leading causes of death for a marriage. All right. I think I might talk about this a little bit at the conference too. But anyway. So early on, that's why sometimes those early years for some people can be hard. But early in life, some of the greatest causes of death would be like an accident or injury. And we just did middle childhood yesterday in class. And or disease or malformation or something like that for like infants and young children as well. And for middle childhood, this really surprised me. Of course, the top leading cause of death for like middle childhood is accidents or an injury, right? So here's the thing: 10 years from now, your marriage is not going to be a baby. Your marriage is going to be at least a teenager or older, so or early teen years if you just get married, okay? And the second leading cause of death for middle childhood is actually cancer. I was so surprised by that. And leukemia being the number one. So here's the thing about the enemy. The enemy cannot take your marriage out early by an early trauma, right? Or an accident that can't be forgiven or something like that. If you survive through something traumatic, then he may try to plant bad seeds that will grow, because when we think about it, cancer, that's cells that are growing out of hand. It's an abnormal growth. So he's trying to put bad seeds into your mind, and over time, he wants that thing to multiply and actually kill the marriage. But when we get to like middle adulthood, then lifestyle choices. So the enemy can't take you out by if he can't take your marriage out by a trauma, traumatic experience, or an accident, or the growth of something that needs to be torn down. If your marriage survives all through that, and you get through all those years, then this is what the enemy tries to use: chronic disease based on lifestyle. And when we look at chronic diseases, they're usually caused by how you've eaten over the years: prolonged diet, prolonged unhealthy diet. Prolonged unhealthy diet might not take you out early. It may not take you out in your infancy years. It may not take you out. It may not even take you out in your childhood years. It may not take you out. You may have like high blood pressure, but it may not take you out. But get to your 40s, get to your 50s. That's when those chronic diseases show up. And so the thing is that the enemy wants you to stay on that unhealthy diet. All of what he's putting in media. Remember I said that cultural current that's coming against marriage? All of that, right? And so here's the thing, is that we have to be mindful of our gates, because I don't care how healthy your body is. I don't care what type of condition your marriage is in. But if your mind is continually digesting all of the negativity and talking negatively about marriage and gossiping about this and gossiping about that, eventually there will be a chronic disease in your mind. And that's where the spiritual warfare starts. It's in your mind first. Because what we know from cognitive behavioral therapy is that your beliefs, and that's why he's sending all this information through your gate, because he's trying to shift your belief system. And so what happens is with that, your beliefs impact your emotions. So if your diet is overly negative, your emotions are also going to be overly negative, and then that's what's going to impact your behavior. And then you're going to be creating experiences that are not in alignment with the law to create the vision God has for your marriage. And we cannot afford that. All right? And research has shown, this is from research from the Institute for Family Studies. They found that excessive media usage is related to decreased sex in marriage, more fear of divorce, because all that stuff, you always seeing the latest divorce, the latest divorce, the latest divorce, right? They've been putting it in front of your eyes, putting it in front of your eyes. And then it also can lead to more relationship problems. Have you ever been like, your spouse comes up and says something, or you come up and say something, but it was really prompted by something that you saw on social media, and then it's not positive? Okay, so a healthy diet. Healthy diet, all right? So monitoring our gates, family. And what you're doing now is a healthy diet. Positive content related to marriage, like this. Listening to sermons, like literally, just bathing yourself and bathing your gates in positivity and bathing yourself, because your marriage is eating. Whether we're haphazardly letting it eat crap, or if we're intentional, or if we are intentional about feeding our marriage the appropriate fuel that it needs to move in the direction that God has for us. All right? All right. So I hope this is helpful. Family. Okay. So now, as I was saying before, over time, chronic diseases of prolonged unhealthy diets. And that's, sometimes you see people and you're like, they've been married 30, 40 years and then they get a divorce. It was a chronic disease. It was a chronic disease. An accident didn't take them out. It wasn't an accident, just like when we're thinking about developmentally. It wasn't an accident in their youth. It wasn't a trauma in the youth of the marriage. It wasn't that. It wasn't even a malignant growth, but it was cancer from this negative diet. Oh, Tally, I'm so happy this is helpful. All right. So here's the thing, is because the reality is being mindful of what we're digesting, because just like I want to feed the body healthy things, just like we wouldn't put a kid on Doritos and potato chips and say, that's all you're going to eat. That's all you're going to eat. And I hope that by 10 years old, from 0 to 10, you're going to be healthy. That kid will probably not be healthy. And so the enemy's battlefield is the mind. And he wants to feed your mind with content that's going to cause you to have a distress-maintaining outlook on your marriage versus a relationship-enhancing perspective. I ain't got but 12 minutes. I've done a deep dive teaching on the difference between these two. I think it might be on my YouTube page, so you can take a look at that. But in a nutshell, a distress maintaining attributional style, it's a frame, or it's a lens in which you look at your relationship, and that inner narrative makes you more upset. All right. And it makes you more distressed the more that you think about it. But a relationship enhancing perspective is like giving someone grace, and it's accepting their good. All right. And not dismissing it. Okay. But I have a deeper teaching on that if you want to take a look at it. Now, here's the third secret, and I probably should have put this first. Like, I know that I said happiness, but see, here's the thing. Like, if you're just pursuing happiness, it will be evasive. Here's the thing, is that until we make God happy first, happiness is just going to be out the window when it comes to your marriage. Because here's the thing, is that there is a purpose, there is a mission, and there is a godly assignment connected to your life. You got a personal mandate on your life. And then there's also an assignment connected to your marriage. And until we fulfill God's mission of being fruitful in the areas that he's caused for us to be fruitful, until we reflect his image, and sometimes getting down to reflecting that image means a cutting away at the flesh, and it doesn't feel good. So sometimes the route to happiness is actually something that doesn't even feel good. But if we allow that thing to produce the godly character within us, we allow that thing to push us forward in the direction of the assignment that God has for our lives at an individual basis and as a collective basis, then the byproduct will be happiness. But we have been chasing happiness by selfish pursuit just because we want it. It's natural. I want you to be happy. I want you to have a thriving marriage. But more than anything, I want you to make God happy first. All right? And so, and see, marriage, the happiness piece is not the primary. It is the secondary. It is a byproduct of fulfilling the mission. And I absolutely love what is his name? Dr. Tony Evans, when he talks about like the purpose of marriage. And it is just so, so beautiful when he talks about like that mission. Oh, it's so beautiful here. Oh my gosh, he was talking about when families rule on God's behalf. And oh my gosh, oh gosh, it's just so much. I can't even get to it because I got like 10 minutes with you guys. But if you're interested in that, he talks all about this in Kingdom Marriage. All right. I've done a teaching on that as well. But you can feel free to look at that. But until we center God into the middle, because here's the thing is that I have to love my spouse from the overflow of me being connected to the source. And whenever you displace God from being the source of your joy and your happiness, and then you replace and you put your spouse on that throne and you put him at the center or you put her at the center, then what happens is that you're going to be on a roller coaster based on how your partner is treating you. But if you keep God as the source, then you can love your spouse unconditionally from the overflow and knowing that you are perfectly loved, and the overflow and knowing that you are perfectly fulfilled. And see, we got it backwards. See, they only can add, but God got to be the source. And we're plugging ourselves into outlets where the power is not coming from there. So we got to make God first, position him first, and then love our spouses from the overflow. And it's in loving our spouses from the overflow that's going to bring us fulfillment. See, we should be used as instruments to demonstrate the love of Christ to our spouses, right? And I know this is not always the easiest thing to do, but the Holy Spirit and you are connected to the source that's going to empower you to do this. You're not doing it on your own. All right. And then what are some steps that you can do this to center God? So first, honoring God in your marriage, and then putting these things into practice, praying together individually as well as a couple. Research even shows this. I teach this in my secular work world, okay, of the university environment. I be straight up in there talking about praying together helps is a maintenance strategy, right? Because the research is showing it. It's showing it. It's very clear. I have a young lady. Her name is Dr. Tara Hart, and she did a research study while she was at the University of Georgia, and she found that it was an intervention for married couples. You know, talking about the typical things, helping them with communication, conflict, all those things, right? So they had two groups that went through the intervention. The same exact intervention. They were randomly assigned to which group they would be in, right? What they found was that the couples who had one extra added element, and it was praying for one another. When they followed up with those couples longitudinally, they found that they had better outcomes compared to the other people who went through the same exact intervention, but just didn't have the added element of prayer. Prayer invites God in. It says, God, I invite you into the situation. God, I invite you in. And when you invite the power of God, he will put some super to that natural. He will, even though you're trying to gain these, these relationship skills, and we were talking about climbing the mountain of marital success and those relationship skills serving as oxygen when you get to the top. Even when you're doing that in your own ability, but when you invite God in, he will put some super to that natural, and the Holy Spirit will remind you, no, you said it the wrong way, right? And so prayer is so powerful. And the culture of forgiveness, oh, I always say, I have a whole training on that. Forgiveness preserves the best version of you, and it's the culture of the kingdom. When we think about the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. The Lord's Prayer is nothing more but your whole guide to the culture of God's kingdom, establishing his government. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That's his sovereignty. He rules. And so forgiveness is a part of the culture of the kingdom. And then also too, with centering God, fulfilling the assignment of your marriage. Your marriage, if anything, is bigger than you. And as you're walking out that assignment, joy will come as you are along the steps. But I promise you, if your marriage is only about you, happiness will evade you. It will evade your life, because selfishness is the opposite of being a servant. And God said, Jesus said, the greatest among you shall be your servant. And so God positioned you in this marriage to serve and outpour the love that he is pouring into you on a daily basis. And that's where the joy stems from. It stems from the serving. It stems from the giving, not sitting back and saying, what have you done for me lately? But in marriage, if you're asking that, then you will be particularly unhappy. But if you're saying, what have I done for her lately? What have I done for him lately? How have I shown them the love of Christ lately? God is going to pour out his spirit on you. And of love and joy and all those beautiful fruits of the spirit. All right. Okay, we got one more to go. And this goes into our fourth secret, which is valuing your spouse's happiness above your own. And that's just self-explanatory. If you are always thinking about what have they done for me lately, am I getting the short end of the stick? Excuse me. That's all that you're thinking about. Happiness will evade you. I know this may seem, but it's like, see, the route to happiness, honestly, is through holiness. And that process of being, processed and going through the fire to be refined and get the impurities removed and cutting off that flesh, it may not always feel that good. But, when we are thinking about the other, I promise you, God's going to take care of you. He really will. All righty. And then the fifth step is the 3 P's, which is prioritizing, positivity, and practice. So prioritizing, ultimately, when we're thinking about the hierarchy, God at the top, then your marital relationship. And if you need to have some lifestyle shifts in your marriage, oh yes, I will share the recording today. I hope to share the recording. But if you have something in your lifestyle that is getting in the way of having the proper priorities, then you definitely want to reshuffle some things, because your marriage wants to eat. But if you never feed it, if you never put gas in it, if you never drive the car of your marriage, then it's going to be stagnant. It will atrophy. It is either your marriage is growing or it's regressing. There's like no either or. Okay? Because being stagnant is regression. All right? Positivity. Research is very clear on this. I was just talking about this in class yesterday. Negative experiences are weightier than positive experiences. So we need to have a ratio. The research shows this. Dr. John Gottman's research. We need to have a ratio of at least 5 positive experiences for every negative experience to negate those negative experiences. All right. And so we want to pursue this positivity with, appreciation, being appreciative through our words, through our actions, even pursuing times to have fun and date nights and things of that nature. I talk to, like when you engage in novel activities, things you've never done before that are fun and exhilarating with your spouse, what that does is it bonds you to them. It releases dopamine, which is the neurochemical involved in pleasure. And then you start to associate that pleasurable experience with your spouse. And then when you start to repeat that thing, what that does is that the brain learns through repetition. You're creating a deep groove in your brain that says, oh my gosh, I have a good time with my spouse, and that is getting deeply ingrained in your mind and being reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. And that's why the enemy is sending so many messages, because he's trying to get deeply ingrained and put a deep groove in your mind that says marriage don't work, or says all these negative things about marriage when God said it was honorable and all things are possible with God. All right. And so the last part is putting it into practice. Forget which book I was reading, but it was talking about we don't rise to our expectations. We fall to default of our habits. So we have to make these things habitual. When you remember, I was talking about what does your ideal week look like? How many times you want to pray together? How many times you want to, how many times you want to make love? All these things. Like, how can we put these into practice so that they become so habitual that even when we are not on our P's and Q's, even that when we fall to our default, we're falling to our habits. And our habits, we want our habits to work for us instead of working against us. All right. And so that's what I got today. That's what I got today, family. And these are apology languages. I that was another presentation. But are you enjoying yourself so far? Was this good? Just checking in, making sure that this is okay. This is helpful. I'm gonna send out the what do you call it, recording today. So if you missed something, or if you want to go back and listen to something or share with a friend, you're more welcome to do so as well. Okay, wonderful. Yes. I will share the recording. So if you're on my email list, I'll definitely give you guys that. And of course, I couldn't leave you there. I always have an action step for you to take. So if you want to do something practical to pour into your marriage, I invite you to an opportunity that I'm doing live here in Atlanta, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, which is the 30th of September. And we are doing a conference. It is the Mission Minded Marriage Conference and Royalty Ball. So the front part of the day, when I tell you we're going to have some dynamic teaching, oh my gosh, it's going to be so dynamic. I'll be teaching, but it's not just teaching. You're going to leave with a beautifully framed version of your mission. You're going to do activities with your spouse. It's interactive. I mean, the tarts are coming. I tell you, for the price of these tickets, you can usually see them for, so this is a big blessing. And then also too, Pastor Baker, who's a licensed marriage and family therapist, other pastors, Pastor Thompson, they also do marriage coaching and marriage counseling. That just the front half of the day is going to be so amazing. And then you'll be able to meet with like-minded couples. And then at the end of the day, when was the last time you got dressed up? We're going to have a beautiful time. I tell you, I'm so excited about the food. Proof of the pudding is so good. I had them at my wedding. Actually, the conference is actually where we got married. So I just love using that place. But the food is just going to be exquisite. And then we'll also have just time to like mingle. We're going to have live music, live jazz, instrumental jazz. So excited about that. So it's going to be dynamic, day and night. And so I invite you to come. And since you guys joined me today, I'm going to give you $100 off. Right now I'm doing a discount, but it's not $100 right now. So because you guys joined me on this, you can get your tickets for $100 off by going to upliftingconference.com, enter Speak Life, all in lowercase, for your coupon code, and that's how you can get started. And I would love to see you in person. There's just something, and I'm praying like just a special blessing for us all. There's something very powerful when we all join together. And it'll be a fun date night, but then also during the day, just investing the knowledge, which we were talking about. So you breathe in some extra oxygen into your marriage with giving it some time, with also developing that relationship skill set. And I always say you can never develop that enough. I mean, we're all still learning, right? And so just wanted to invite you all to come in person. It will be just a dynamic time to pour into your marriage. I would be so excited to see you. So I actually, the deadline is this week to get your tickets, to get them by Friday. So we would absolutely love, love, love to have you. But first, I just want to say thank you for joining me this afternoon. This was fun. I need to do this I need to probably do this some more. If you want to, just from time to time, I love to share. I love to teach. This is, I guess, like the Lord's gift to me. I'm not perfect and I'm growing in my teaching skills, but, I just want to share as God calls for me to share. So that's that. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any questions, feel free. If you have just anything, questions about the content, questions about the concert, I mean, not concert. Well, I guess it is kind of like a concert at the end. It's live music. But if you have any questions about anything, so what I said, or maybe even things I haven't talked about today, you are more than welcome to ask away. You can ask away in the chat, or you can unmute your microphone. I would absolutely love to hear from you. All righty. Well, if not, it was such a pleasure spending this afternoon with you all. Blessings to your marriage. How long have you guys been married? Or are you getting married? Are you newlyweds? Where are you in your marital journey? Uh-oh. 27 years, Lydia. What a blessing, blessing, blessing. Almost to that 30th year. That's such a blessing. Oh, I love it. Awesome. All righty. Let's see who else. Who else? Who else? 20. Raven. Has it really been 21 years? Oh my gosh. What a blessing. I did not know. Such a blessing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's my friend, y'all. Raven. That's my sweet, 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 sweet friend. Love you to life. Oh, wow. That is amazing. I'm so happy for you, Ray. All righty. Well, I will chime on out. It was such a pleasure to meet you all virtually. Hello, hello. Even if I just see your boxes or your comments, it matters to me that you are here. And blessings to you in your marital journey. That's all for now. Bye-bye.